I love this recipe for the holidays. I feel like it's that thing that you look for on the table that's just an indulgence. It's creamy, it's delicious, it's something you wouldn't necessarily make from scratch and you do that box stuff. I love bringing this over to people's homes whenever I don't have to be the one that cooks the turkey. So this is one of my favorite recipes for mac and cheese. My version of mac and cheese is a little bit different just because I add some of the ingredients that I use in other recipes just to enhance the flavor, bring it out a little bit, make it a little bit fun. It's that thing that you can't necessarily put your finger on. It still feels familiar, but just slightly different. So the first thing we're gonna do is build the sauce. First, we're gonna melt our butter. I like using a saucier for this because you can move the pasta around a lot once you add it into the sauce. The sauciers are amazing for that. So in my restaurant, whenever we were making pasta, we always use sauciers. It's really easy to toss pasta and it's really easy to move it around and incorporate it into the sauce. Now that the butter's melted, we're gonna add in our garlic and start to toast that off. Once your garlic is fragrant, you wanna go ahead and add in your flour and start building your roux. Once you can smell the nuttiness of the garlic as well as the flour being added into this roux, it's time to add in the shio koji. So shopping through my local Japanese market, I found this ingredient called shio koji, and it started to become a big part of my pantry. I always have it around because it's just an incredible flavor enhancer. Just really like kind of gives you that oomph, that umami that you're looking for. Now that that's incorporated in, we're gonna go ahead and add our milk. As you add your milk, you want to continually whisk in order to break down your roux and make sure that it's being incorporated smoothly into your sauce. Now that all of our ingredients are incorporated into the sauce, the main thing to remember is to always bring it up to a boil. Whenever you're making a roux, in order to know that that flour is fully activated and your sauce is as thick as it's going to get, you have to achieve a boil. But because this is a milk-based sauce, you also want to be really careful that it doesn't scorch. So constant whisking is necessary. While we're waiting for our sauce to come to a boil, keeping half an eye on it, we can go ahead and get our macaroni down to start cooking that off. I've got a pasta pot right here with a pasta insert in it, ready to go, already boiling. You always want to make sure that you salt your water. It should taste like the ocean. We're gonna go ahead and add our macaroni into our salted water. Now that we've brought the sauce to a full boil, it's ready to incorporate with cheese. It's important to remember that whenever you add cheese to any kind of cream sauce, you want to do it when there's no heat at all. Otherwise, your cheese will get really, really elastic and it almost gets kind of rubbery. And that's because you don't ever want to cook cheese. You want to incorporate it once the heat is already off. You want to continuously whisk your sauce, mainly just to make sure that that cheese is melting evenly throughout it, and also so that you don't get any clumps of any ingredients that you've added at this point.
Is there something special on the whisk that you're looking for?
The one that is not being used by someone else.
We're going to begin selling whisks?
Oh, I couldn't get that by the question. That wasn't totally obvious. Now that our pasta is ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and drain it and add it into our sauce and incorporate everything. So now we're going to fold the macaroni in with our cheese sauce and just make sure everything has a chance to incorporate together. At this point, you want to give it a taste and see if you want to add a little more salt, and a little bit of pepper is always really nice. Now that we've got the pasta and the sauce incorporated together, we're going to go ahead and build the rest of it and assemble our mac and cheese to get it ready for the oven. We're going to start making the topping now. We'll start out with our panko breadcrumbs. Add in some Parmesan. A little bit of dried herbs. I like using dried Italian herbs. It gives you some of the flavors that you look for in macaroni and cheese that are sort of familiar with pasta. So it's dried parsley, dried oregano, a little bit of thyme in there as well. I'm gonna add in some of my Chinese dried red pepper. Chinese dried red peppers are a little bit spicier than what you would normally see in, say, something like an Aleppo, where you're gonna see some more smoke flavor, or paprika, where you'll see a little bit more smokiness, used more commonly in like Sichuan cooking. So I like it because it gives you a little bit of that punch that offsets the really creamy denseness of macaroni and cheese. And I've melted down a bit of butter here, which we'll go ahead and add in. The butter is gonna help make this into sort of a crumble, which will make it a little bit easier to put on top of the macaroni and cheese. It'll also help with the browning to give you kind of that nice toasty crust look that you're looking for, especially during the holidays.
Will you want a spatula?
Yeah, I just thought about that. Thank you.
There's the new one in that.
What do you look for in a spatula?
Hey, look for it to say maiden. So now that I've worked out most of the lumps here, I'm gonna go ahead and start assembling our final product. Well, so once we get it into the baking dish, we wanna make sure that it's nice and evenly distributed here so that it's got a nice base to put our topping down. So as we distribute our topping, you wanna just evenly distribute it across the top and try to get to those edges, because those are the spots that really are delicious once they crust up. So now that you've got your topping on top, you wanna make sure that you're pushing it out to the edges, because just like brownies, the edge pieces are gonna be the best on this. So now that we've got it all the way out to the edges, we are ready to throw it into the oven. It's preheated at 400 degrees right now. What you're looking for is a nice crust, a deep golden brown, and that's gonna take just about 10 minutes. Got a nice golden brown topping on it. Hopefully it's nice and gooey on the inside as well. All right, here we go. I love the flavor of this. It brings out like this nuttiness in the garlic. That's super, super tasty. The crumb topping on top just breaks up the texture a bit. Delicious. That's my version of mac and cheese. I hope it's a nice addition to your holiday table. I'm Joe Chan from Austin, Texas. I'll see you guys next time. Yay.